Welcome back. We are on day 2 of our Dragon Eye project, and we're still talking about textures. Today, we're really going to focus in on implied texture. So let's recap that difference. It's been a minute since we've talked about the difference between implied texture versus actual texture, but we did make that rubbings last class. Remember that? Where we took things that had actual texture, we put our piece of paper on top of it, we took a crayon or a color pencil, and we kind of colored sideways over the top, and we got those textures that were actual textures on the actual thing to look like implied textures on the paper. Because when we touched the paper, it didn't feel like the bottom of a shoe. It didn't feel like I'm trying to think, what were some of the other things that I used? That weird decorative wicker thing. It didn't feel like that, or it didn't feel like bubble wrap, although the bubble wrap was a fail. I will admit that was not a good one. I thought it was going to be cool. I think if I had used thinner paper, it could have worked better, but because the paper I used was a little thicker, you live, you learn. As an artist, as a human, this is what happens. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is we took actual texture, we turned it into implied texture. Today is all about just implied texture. Next class will be all about actual texture. So we just want to really make sure we understand the difference between the two of them. So how do we get implied texture when we're not doing like a texture rubbing like we did last class? Well, the answer is essentially, like if we're going to cut it down real simple, it's one of the ways is going to be to use patterns. So, we've used lines before. What is a line? Well, it's when you put a pencil or a pen or some kind of a mark onto paper. You're starting with a dot, but you start with that point, and then you move the point around, okay? It can be in any direction, but that's how we make a line. So when that line has repetition to it, it makes a pattern. And when we make a pattern, those patterns can create what we call texture. So let's talk about patterns, shall we? Oh, first off, for this class, what are we going to need? We are going to need paper, and then pencils, great. You might also choose to get out like a permanent marker, one like this or one like that. This is like those ultra fine ones. This is just a regular permanent marker. So you could choose to use those too. So get those things out. Not a ton that we need for today, but we want to, you notice that I'm in here clicking where it says this lesson. It's also on the Art Hub too. That's where I'm clicking to get some ideas, some inspiration. Now, you don't have to use the ideas that we have for you. You can come up with your own too, but let's at least get that brainstorming going. So, textures drawn as patterns are really quite endless, right? Like, honestly, anything that you can repeat can become a pattern, can become a texture. And the possibilities, I mean, how many different configurations of, lines and dots and zigzags and all kinds of things can you think of? Because the possibilities are next to endless. So anyway, when you use them on repeat, essentially, they do become a pattern, and you can see a whole bunch of examples here. And yes, you're free to use any of these. You're free to tweak any of them here, like kind of like, oh, I like that one, but I want to do this to it instead. I want to do that to it instead. Yep, the answer is yes. Yes, you may. You may use any of these for inspiration. Yes, you may tweak them. I mean, I don't even know what you would potentially do, but as long as they're school appropriate, like, it's okay. The answer is yes. So once again, I don't know how you would make them not, but just always, I guess, with any project, whether it's art or math or science, school appropriate is kind of important. Anyway, so on to the next one. What you are going to do is you are going to choose a shape and you're going to overlap it onto itself time and time again. Now, just as a heads up, like, as fun as this is, don't go too crazy with it. I'm not going to say like to do 30 different shapes. You're about to see why. And honestly, the shape for me, it doesn't need to be the same shape every single time. So you can see in the example over on the right hand side, those are all circles. However, I just want to show you the one that I'm currently working on. You can see on this one, I've got a circle. I've got a, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I've got a hexagon. I've got a square. I've got a triangle. I've got another circle. I've got another triangle. I've got, basically what I'm trying to say is I've got a variety of shapes. If you want to keep it simple and have the same shape for all of them, you absolutely may. Here's just some ideas of shapes that you can use. So essentially, what are we going to do with this? So you're going to have all these shapes, and you can see how they overlap each other, right? Like how, you know, this circle crosses into that circle. I'm going to go for a little ride here. Okay, so like, for example, right here, you see like where that circle overlaps into that one. So we want to, and even like all these tiny ones, you see all those little guys right there? Essentially, all these little spots, every time you've got a new space, whether it's a teeny tiny one like this guy right here, or it's a nice big spot like this one right here, nice big space. Every time there's a new space, no matter how teeny or how big, you are going to come up with a new pattern to put into that space. This is why I said don't go too crazy. Don't put like 30 circles or 30 different shapes onto it, because now if you've got 30 circles and then every time it overlaps with anything, that's a new pattern. I mean, you literally could have like 120 different patterns then that you now have to come up with. So you think more around that like 5 to 10 shapes kind of thing. Keep them a little bit bigger. That way you're not losing your mind trying to come up with all these different patterns and whatnot. So in the end, it's going to end up potentially looking something kind of like this. So once again, you can see every time it switches, every time it overlaps, I should say, it's going to switch to a different pattern, a new pattern every single time we've got a different space. So you can, once again, you can see why. And let's just see it. For this example here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. In this picture, what you're seeing right here, it is 11 circles. Obviously, they're overlapping. And so how many different patterns? Oh, goodness. Let's just see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This one's kind of the same. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Did I count that one? Somewhere in the high 20s in that area. So we had 12, 11? I don't even remember. Numbers and things, patterns, I don't know. You can see what I'm saying though. If we have too many, it starts messing with your brain a little bit, and we don't want that. So start with between 5 to 10 circles or whatever shapes you're choosing, and you can see each one is going to get a new pattern in it, and it's going to just kind of grow exponentially. Patterns. We've got patterns on patterns on patterns. We've got all kinds of ideas for you. You can choose some of ours. You can choose some of your own. Here's some more. So another thing you can do too, go into one of your favorite search engines, maybe the Google, and search up patterns, implied texture patterns. Zentangles is another good one. They have really cool different ideas for Zentangles, are cool patterns. So feel free to search for your own or just create your own as well. If you want to, if you are doing circles, heads up. There are things like mugs and, well, this is a little container that I've got over here, a little bowl, but it has water in it, so I'm not going to like flip that upside down. But if you're worried about your circles not looking super great, where's my pencil now? My pencil went missing. Here's one. Here's a different one. You can always take something that already is a circle and go ahead and trace it. Okay, that where the handle went, went a little rogue, went a little crazy. Okay, let's see what else I've got. This little guy, little paint container. This is probably smaller than I would normally want to do, but hey, it was there, so I'm going with it. I don't know if I have any other circle shapes. I could reuse this though too. Maybe I have a couple of circles in there. And once again, you could actually just stick with all the same. I don't have to do different shapes. However, if I want to, maybe now I want to do a triangle. That's when we can get out things like a straight edge. So now, here is a triangle. Let's see, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go on the more simple side of things for right now. And I'm just going to do 5 shapes. I'm going to do a square next, or a rectangle, I should say. I'm not going to make it a perfect square, but I'm going to do a rectangle. Bum, bum, bum. There's the end. There it is. And voila. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shapes, but notice how many patterns I'm going to need to come up with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's too little to count. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? I don't know, maybe I didn't count that right. Somewhere around 15 because of all those overlaps. So in each area, I'm going to choose a different shape, or a different pattern, I should say, to go into them. And once again, I can reference. Hold on, let me get that picture up. I can reference those slides, or I can come up with my own. You can see in these, I've got, this one's not done yet, but I kind of started with like some pinwheels and then I connected them. Here I've got, actually I'm going to do that one again because I did like that one. And maybe I'll do it on this one here. So I started in the center with a circle, and then I made concentric circles. So when I say concentric circles, think about when you throw a rock into water and how it makes like those ripples going out. Those are concentric circles. Or if you've ever shopped at Target, the logo is also concentric circles. So something kind of like this is how I started. Now notice I'm not doing anything here or here or here or here because those are going to be different patterns because those are different spaces. So let's see, then what did I do next? Oh yeah, so then next I kind of made like little petals inside of it. So then there's going to be little petals inside of this one. Like that. Squeak another one in there. Those are kind of irregularly shaped, but that's okay. And once again, I don't want it to continue into this little space because that's going to be a different pattern. Here's more petals going around. So this space is all going to be the same pattern to create, you know, whatever implied texture I'm creating with the pattern. And then I could leave it like that. In this example, you can see that I did color it in. So I could also do that too. I'm not going to do that for the demo because we'll be here forever. But let's talk about maybe a different pattern. So maybe in this one, I'm going to make it a little bit more liney, straight lines in this one. Once again, I'm only focusing on this section here. And then maybe within those lines, maybe I make some diagonal lines that make X's. And I just want to make sure every single area has its own personality, has its own pattern, has its own implied texture. Every area should be different. I know the next question you're wondering, does this go into our art journals, Mrs. Stinson? And the answer is no. this is still brainstorming. I still want you to just kind of be understanding the concepts. Maybe this little section, get some polka dots, some sweet little polka dots. Here's what that's looking like so far. So this section, that's very tiny, is different than this section, is different than this section, and they are all going to be uniquely their own. Your job then, between today and next class, is going to be to just create a different pattern in each of these. I don't think, we don't need to be spending 3 hours on this. I think as long as you're getting that half hour outside of class, I think that that's good. I just want you to get the basics, understand the concept of how patterns can create implied texture. And as long as we're getting that concept as we're creating this, I'm happy. I think you did a great job. Pats on the back, and I'll see you next time.